We have a massive move that is going to be underway right now. Now, for the doubters and the bears have been saying that this bull market is over, I'm gonna let you guys know that why I don't think this bull market is over, and we're still very early in this bull market here. If you guys been following my channel, you guys would know what some of my key arguments are for this bull market to still be could still be lasting for a little while into 2026. Okay. So what I'm seeing here, first of all, gotta be talking about Bitcoin because Bitcoin is still the driver of this market. If Bitcoin has more room to pump, so will a lot of these altcoins. However, if Bitcoin dumps, as we have seen for the past couple of weeks, all right, when Bitcoin has been consolidating and Bitcoin dominance was climbing, a lot of these altcoins did not do as well. However, Bitcoin right now is looking very good according to what I've been talking about on the charts here. Okay, this is the weekly time frame for Bitcoin, and the bears actually got a fake out here from this huge rising wedge pattern. What could this mean? We're going to be getting a little bit more into the charts later in this video. We're also going to be talking about a few altcoin setups, which will include ANKR Network, ANKR, Velo, as well as I always forget the third one. Let me come over here to the list here. Okay, Velo, ANKR, and Grass. Okay, Grass token, the AI token. See what's happening in these coins. What has changed since the last time I've talked about them. So let's go ahead and get into some major economics news first because I think there is some pretty interesting stuff going on here. And we're going to get into the charts and altcoins. All right, first, it's going to be by you today. Bitcoin all-time highs. U.S. government shutdown triggers massive crypto pump. Now, I've lived through quite a bit of these quote unquote US government shutdown warnings, and a lot of times, last minute, they always come to a resolution to prevent the shutdown. I really think it's just a show, but let's see what this author has to say. Okay, what's reason? Bitcoin surpassed 116K on the charts, rising by almost 3% basically overnight. While Ethereum regained its position above 4280, rising by 3% following with significant 3 to 5% with Solana, Cardano, XRP. Okay, so it doesn't really. So why are the cryptocurrencies rising as the U.S. government stuck in a political stalemate? How investors perceive risk could be the answer because of the uncertainty surrounding federal spending. Shutdowns usually have a negative impact on equity markets, but cryptocurrencies frequently gains from the alternative safe haven narrative. It doesn't really give me too much specifics here. Okay. So it says that stocks usually don't do, I mean, I guess what this author is saying is that stocks don't really do well when it comes to these government shutdowns, but cryptocurrencies alternative do better. I'm not sure if that really makes sense because stocks usually have a pretty good correlation with Bitcoin and of course the rest of the crypto markets. So I'm not really buying the argument that this author has to say. Let's go ahead and go to the next piece here. It's also by you today. Bitcoin to hit $1 million. Telegram CEO says scarcity could drive surge. I do think that Bitcoin could hit $1 million at some point later in the future. I don't think it's gonna hit this bull cycle. And the thing you guys should know is, if you guys are new to this market, every cycle ends. Okay, bull cycles end, sideways cycles end, bear cycles end. I've been here since 2019, so I can at least say I have lived through a few bull waves. Okay, and of course one major bull cycle back in 2021, and a few mini waves, a bear market, a lot of sideways market, which has been deadly since last year, since March of last year. So I mean, I don't think it's gonna hit $1 million this bull cycle, but I think in the future, yes. All right, next piece here is by Cointelegraph. U.S. Senate to examine crypto taxes as IRS offers relief on corporate tax. Okay, so yeah, I guess let me see here. The U.S. Finance Committee will hold a hearing on Wednesday, which is today, on crypto taxation, a day after Treasury Department and the IRS issued interim guidance easing corporate crypto tax. So that sounds pretty good for corporate in the US. What that could mean, I'm not really sure about the details, but it sounds bullish for crypto. Um, so if I guess if corporate has anything to do with crypto, you guys can let me know the details in the comment section below if you guys know anything. But I don't think it's it's not relevant to me in a personal level, at least on a tax level, right? So let's go ahead and go next piece. All right, this is by Market Watch. The gold market is rarely wrong. Why stocks and Bitcoin are in a danger zone. So okay, by Michael Sincere, S&P 500 at 5,700. Bitcoin at 80,000 trader. Jeffrey Bierman says the market is running on fumes and FOMO. I think this trader is wrong because of a few reasons, including technical reasons. But the main reason is because the Fed rate cut cycle has just started back in September. That's gonna drive a lot cheaper money into the market. Look, I think there's gonna be both sides of the argument here, right? You're always gonna find an argument on the other side, but you really just have to make your own conviction on what your argument is. And my argument is that the Fed rate cut cycle has just started. A few technical analysis reasons as well, which I'll point out to you guys later. But of course, I am long on Bitcoin. I am long on quite a bit of the altcoins here, so my opinions on this market is bullish. But like the entirety of this video, these are just my opinions and not financial advice. You gotta form your own opinions and strategies. All right, I think the next piece here is the next piece here is by Dow Jones Newswire. Bitcoin rises as weak jobs data boosts rate cut bets. Market watch. Okay, so let's take a look into the jobs data here because I know the labor market sucks. Okay, I've seen it all over YouTube, TikTok. Bitcoin rises to its highest in almost 2 weeks after weaker than expected. U.S. private payroll data boosted expectations for further interest rate cuts. The ADP said payrolls fell 3,200 in September. Economists in a Wall Street Journal survey expected a 45,000 increase. So a very steep miss. Okay. Let's take a look into the CME Watch tool here because I did notice a difference today when I refreshed. And we are looking at 100% of an ease for October 29th, which is huge. I mean, because we were sitting at about 90%, so we got a 10% increase, and just saying that it's 100% is huge. Let's go ahead and look at December, which could, the probabilities on this tool could change on a day-to-day basis as new data comes out, but as we are talking right now, it is still sitting at 100% for both of these Federal Reserve meetings that are coming up. All right, let's go ahead and go to the charts here. And what we're looking at here is that the bears try to break down from this rising wedge pattern, but was unsuccessful because you guys can see that the wick here, they actually try to break down from this pattern here. If it actually did, the breakdown target would have been 80,000 almost, underneath 80,000. Now, rising wedges are bearish patterns that you guys should be paying attention to because they will appear over and over again, even as this bull cycle continues. But now we're seeing a weekly candle, a green candle that's basically pumped way higher. I mean, higher than the drop candle here, right? And I've talked about this scenario on this daily time frame. A falling wedge scenario on this daily time frame, right? Which was also a pattern to be paying attention to, because I said that if Bitcoin does not break above this upper trend line here, there is a chance that it's gonna form a falling wedge pattern and potentially come down to the daily 200 SMA that's currently sitting at about 105K, the orange line. Now, since it has actually broken above that upper trend line here, could we still be seeing a possible falling wedge pattern scenario? Possibly, right? But I'm going to be looking out for some possible um, topping out patterns here that tells me this is, this is still potentially a falling wedge pattern scenario. But I would say it's looking a lot more likely that the bulls are going to be attempting to break out of this rising wedge pattern, right? And if that does happen, that's going to look very bullish for the crypto markets, because breaking out of a bearish pattern, going against its probabilities, that's going to look very bullish, right? So let's also take a look into the total 3 chart for the people who doubts this alt season, because I still see doubts in this alt season. Look, I've been one of the people who doubted alt season back in 2023, right, when things went sideways for a long time as well. But remember what happened back in September 2023, October 2023? If you guys have been here that long, that little alt season went from probably late September to, well, March, April of last year, right? So, total 3 here. Coming back here to the altcoin charts, something to be paying attention to is a potential break out of this cup and handle pattern here on this monthly time frame. Resistance is still 1.15 trillion. There has been an attempt to break out of this pattern here for the altcoin markets. Was unsuccessful. There is bearish divergence, however, but there also has been exceptions where if there is a major breakout happening, these bearish divergence scenarios could be invalidated. Okay, I'm talking about back in 2021, beginning of 2021, right, and October 2017. Okay, I'm talking about Bitcoin. So, and if Bitcoin continues, I don't see why the altcoins can't. So this is basically what I'm looking at, and I think if Total 3 actually gets a clean break above this cup and handle pattern here, then, I think the altcoin markets are going to go crazy, including the small caps, okay? So let's go ahead and go to ANKR Network, ANKR, see what's happening in this market here. ANKR, ANKR Network. All right, currently trading at about almost 1.4 cents. I talked about ANKR on this weekly time frame here. Weekly time frame, falling wedge pattern. You guys should know your falling wedge patterns, or at least try to chart them. And as you guys try to chart them more and more often, you guys will see it just right off the bat without even connecting the trend lines. Now, this is a falling wedge pattern, and falling wedges have a higher chance of breaking to the upside. They are bullish reversal patterns. Price target, if it breaks out by this point, for example, price target would be about just upwards of 10 cents there, above 10 cents, okay? Now, even though falling wedges have a higher chance of breaking to the upside, you still have to mind the downside risk, because I've seen them break down. Also, price targets are estimates only. They could be more, there could be less. A lot of it does depend on what happens with Bitcoin, okay? If Bitcoin starts dumping, these altcoin setups, they're not going to matter very much. Now, let's take a look into the daily time frame. I talked about an updated chart here for ANKR. Daily time frame. falling wedge pattern, smaller falling wedge pattern here. Price target, if it breaks out by this point, for example, price target would be almost 2 cents for Anchor. Okay, all your daily moving averages are above the price action right now. That's going to be overhead resistance. Some things to be looking out for. Let's go ahead and go to Velo and see what's happening with Velo. All right, weekly time frame. Okay, I didn't say anything about Velo on the weekly time frame. I don't think I saw a particular pattern, but you're going to have quite a bit of resistance that's above the price action right now, which includes all your weekly moving averages. Very small to see, but you guys, if you guys have Velo, you guys should check out your weekly time frame, because all your weekly moving averages are going to be above the price action. That's going to be resistance. I talked about a double bottom pattern here, or I probably charted a new double bottom pattern here, right? That has happened since the last time we've talked about it. Double bottoms are bullish patterns that have a higher chance of breaking to the upside. And if this one breaks to the upside here, price target would be about almost 2.1 cents price target. I talked about a smaller falling wedge pattern here that broke out to the upside. Price target for that one would be about 1.5 cents. It broke to the upside, and it still looks valid because the price action is still above this upward trend line of the pattern it broke out of. What you guys should be paying attention to here is that Velo is running within this bigger falling wedge pattern that the double bottom and the smaller falling wedge pattern is in. Now, if this bigger falling wedge pattern actually breaks out to the upside here by this point, for example, the price target would be about almost, well, I'm just going to say almost 2.2 cents. Almost 2.2 cents price targets. All right, let's go ahead and go to Grass, which is an AI token. What's happening with Grass since the last time we've talked about it? Weekly time frame. Weekly time frame. More falling wedges. Price target. Let's move this price target down a few weeks here because it doesn't look like it's going to break out by next week. I mean, highly unlikely. All right, lagging a little bit, but here it is. All right, let's just say this is a falling wedge pattern on Grass weekly time frame. Price target is going to be about $3.95, which will basically take you back to the previous resistance here that could potentially form some type of a cup and handle pattern if Grass makes it all the way back to that resistance. Okay, nothing in this market is 100%. Just because you got a price target does not mean it's going to play out 100%. I've seen price targets that don't get met. I've seen fake outs. All of that could happen. Just got to risk manage and ask yourself, what would you do in those situations? Weekly 21 SMA. That's going to be resistant at almost about $1.15. Now, take a look into the smaller time frame here. Smaller time frame, daily time frame. Potential cup and handle pattern that could develop. I'm saying potential because it's not completely developed yet, right? You're still looking for for one more swing up to this resistance here that's at about $1.05 to complete this cup and handle. If that does complete, then that is a bullish pattern that has a higher chance of breaking to the upside. But we can come back here and update the chart if enough of you guys want to see it. Make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe if you guys want to continue seeing any more of ANKR, Velo, Grass, or any other coins in this market. I'll pick a request to do for you guys on a daily basis. I'll see you on the next one.